Welcome back to Settlers Valley Wildlife Gardens. Last time I posted an update log, it was a couple weeks ago, so I've gotten some progress since then. So I'm going to update you on what I've done so far. I know that you've seen the parking lot slash tunnel, staff area, that stuff. Not much has changed since then. I believe I've updated the entrance just a little bit, more so in the plaza. There's an info sign over there. I believe that was Ricey who did the custom billboard thing. So obviously last time I was out here, you saw the sheep in the historic house area. And I thought it didn't really make sense to only have two main paths, like, through the Botanical Gardens or all the way to the Science Center. That's going to be all the way over there. So I added the North American Bird Trail as a cut through directly to the right side of the park. So I think we'll just start with that. Nothing too crazy, just really basic, like fencing, you can still walk by the old house. And you get a really nice view of the pond that's outside of the Botanical Gardens. I think it looks really pretty. Right now I have two arowana in here, but you may see them on the way into the gardens. The first animal that appears on the North American Bird Trail are the barn owl. They look really small, honestly. Like, I don't know if that is the actual size that they are or if they should be bigger. For some reason, I remember them being bigger. So I think I'm going to change that doghouse to at least be a lot shorter and probably a little bit smaller, so they feel more secure when they stay in there. But it's a pretty basic aviary, just with some logs and stuff, and of course there's a junk pile as you would see, and then kind of like a fake barn in the back. Nothing too crazy, just a really basic, animal that would be native here. And then you walk along here, still have to put up some retaining walls and, other probably signage. I'm thinking of making some custom posters for the zoo to put along this walk to advertise the birds and kind of share information. Maybe even do some bird houses or like hummingbird feeders around here, just to tie in with the theme. But this would be the next exhibit, which is the eastern wild turkey, which is also an animal that you see around here quite often. And I really, really like how their habitat came out. I forget which zoo it is, but this is based on the wild turkey exhibit from some zoo. I'll probably put a picture on screen of the image that I used, and I would say it's pretty close to what it actually looks like. I only changed around a couple things. I really, really liked it, so I felt like it was the only thing that would really fit. I'm not sure how the escaping works with the turkeys, because I've seen, in the wild, turkeys fly pretty high. Obviously these ones are kind of fat, so I don't know how well they would do. But the one in the zoo, the fence was about this tall, maybe even shorter. So we'll see how that works. I'm just gonna hope that it's secure enough for them, because they're pretty short creatures. And they do have this little hut over here, their little coop that you can go through, which would be their shelter for the night. Just with some perches and their food and water and stuff, and then a little area where they can be closed and locked in for the night so the foxes and such cannot get them. And then before I go to the Botanical Gardens, we'll just check out this side of the plaza, which would be the bathroom. I really love the concrete tile from the Jurassic World Evolution pack. Like, this is pretty much exactly what I was looking for, so super basic, just signs for different restrooms, and then this is the entrance to the Botanical Gardens. It's not complete yet. I have been working on this for a really long time, and it is taking so long. So I only have two of the areas, I guess, planned. I mean, I have the areas planned, but I have two in the works. One of them I would say is pretty close to being done, and then the other one is about halfway done. It just needs the amenities. So here we have the pond again. I think the arowanas, yeah, there's one right there. There's a silver arowana, and then there's the other one. These were based on, I believe, a lungfish that was made by someone else and on the workshop, and I changed around the colors and the body shape to try and make it look a little bit more like an arowana. Now that the mod is out, I might end up getting those, just, so I can actually see them swim around. This here is the beautiful waterfall. I really like how it came out. This is pretty much what it looks like here in the valley. Just lots and lots of rocks covered in moss and all stacked up like that. I think it's super gorgeous. And then of course you have the duckweed here, which is actually just periwinkle turned upside down, which is a trick I learned from, I forget who, someone else on the ZSU server. And we'll just sprint over here. You can see the rock walls. This is from the new Faux Rocks pack, which is probably my new favorite thing out of all the mods we've gotten so far, because it was just perfect. It's exactly what I needed, because there are these so-called mysterious rock walls all over not just like the valley, but Northern California in general. And no one knows why they're really there. Like, there's speculations that it was farm laborers who built them when they were clearing out fields, but in general it's a mystery, and I wanted to incorporate some of that because it's such a landmark of the area here. This is pretty much exactly what it looks like when I go hiking in the area. Alright, we're coming up on kind of the first themed area, and this would be the Californian Desert Oasis. So this obviously is not at all what around here looks like, but it is a representation of the more deserty climates in Southern California. I don't think it's super accurate, but I just used the cacti that the game offered. But I think it would be a nice location for a splash park. The mosaics, by the way, are from the workshop. I edited them and made this like little flowing stream design so that way the kids can play. And then eventually on top of this wood circle there's going to be a gazebo, so you know, the parents could sit and watch their children exhaust themselves in the water park. And then up there is going to be a VIP lounge, which I am taking inspiration from the Rosicrucian Museum in San Jose. If you've ever been there, they have a members lounge, which it has like some really nice fire pits and comfy seating. I think this would be a perfect space for zoo events and just in general kind of relaxation in a nice oasis. And obviously there's going to be shade up there because there's no way I'm just going to be laying out in the hot sun. And then I still need to work on the middle area. I'm going to have some dedicated flower bins kind of in the middle here, and then some more wildflowers on this hill. I saw these sort of hanging plant arches in a picture. I believe it's a botanical garden in Singapore. Obviously they have more tropical plants, so I'm replacing them with you can interpret these as morning glories. I tried to make it look like as much as morning glories as possible, since we had those in my yard growing up, and they climbed all over the fence, and I think they're one of the prettiest climbing flowers, and they just have a great purple color. And then obviously I put some bromeliads up here. You can just think of them as any sort of epiphyte that could be found outdoors, maybe even a fern or something. Just pretend. And then super empty over here. Again, there's going to be more flowers, but I want it to be kind of low-lying so you can see the iconic rock walls. And if you look, there is actually a little cut-through path, so that way you can get nice and close to the rock walls and get a really good look at them. So we'll just take that, since over there that leads nowhere so far. Oh, and there's a peafowl, which if you didn't notice already, I have 4 of them. Yes, only 4 roaming around the gardens right now. And before we go into the Redwood Grove, I'll just show you kind of their private area where you can read about them here with, again, the custom info signs. And this would just be their coop. And they have a little yard. I mean, obviously they're going to escape, but they're meant to free roam. But this would be where they could get some privacy and play with their forage pen if they wanted to be away from the guests, which I know they would be constantly harassing the peafowls. Here we are going into the Redwood Grove. I really like how this came out. I would say it is almost 100% done. And then Sonoma actually has quite a few redwoods in the county. If you ever heard of the Alliance Redwoods, you can go ziplining there, and it's super awesome. You can also notice the ferns that are growing out of the rocks here. See that all the time. This is directly taken inspiration from the hiking parks I go to. And then on the left is a roosting spot by the waterfall for the peafowl. Realistically, they would go up into the trees, like especially if they're just on private property, they'd probably just live up there at nighttime. People build little tree houses for them to escape from the predators and such, even though they can't use it in game. it would just imagine how nice of a view it is. They're in the shade, they're up high, and they can just sit back and watch the waterfall. And then we're kind of at the peak of the redwood grove where we're going to overlook the waterfall here. Imagine that this is a little sign that would tell you some information about the waterfall. A little stream runs all the way back there. Obviously I didn't place real water here because that would be a pain and a nightmare. I think the view from up here is just really, really nice. You can see like a lot of the botanical gardens, you know, the splash park over there on the left. In the middle you have the 3 willow trees and just a glimpse at the North American bird trail. And then you also get to see the historic house and sheep pen and just the entrance in general. So I really like that. I think I will end up putting just maybe some low railing on here. Now obviously people shouldn't want to, you know, go off the trail and off the edge, but you never know, especially with like kids and stuff. They just might see a squirrel and run into the bushes and fall, and then we have a lawsuit, which probably don't want that. Something I really, really wish they will add for Planet Zoo is more variation. Now these redwood trees are also from the Jurassic World pack. I kind of stacked them together to make what you would see in nature, which is redwood trees that are all growing together, because as you can imagine it starts out with like one tree and then one shoots off from that and they kind of combine. But other than that, this trail will just wind you slowly down the hill outside of the redwood grove, and it'll get less and less dense as you go on. And then here we are back at the entrance. You can see the back of the really ugly staff building, which will be hidden by something when you have this view. In general, my plan is to try and get as large of a collection of exotic birds as possible, because if you don't know, that is part of the lore of this zoo, is the original family who kind of owned the land before it became a zoo back in the late, 19th century, early 20th century. They were animal enthusiasts, especially for exotic birds, and they had a collection themselves, and we're trying to kind of rebuild that to pay tribute to what they loved and what they researched. So yeah, that's my update for now. Hopefully I can update in about another week or so. I hope you enjoyed watching the tour and listening to all of my plans about the zoo, and I hope to see you next time for the next tour.